Hey, it's Saul with another video. In an earlier video, I did coverage and analysis of the Horde version of the questline that will lead up to the Darkshore warfront, coming in patch 8.1, Tides of Vengeance. Today I'm coming at you with the Alliance perspective, so keep in mind that this video is going to be full of spoilers. This is an early look at the content, so keep in mind that what you see here may not reflect what is going to be appearing in live servers. And trust me, it probably won't because it's buggy as all hell. So let's get started. For a little bit of context and disclosure, I took my Horde Paladin and did a faction change on the PTR, made him a human. So I started off in Stormwind having no idea what to do, so my first order of business was to return to Boralus. Upon going to Boralus, I'm met by Hedwig, or an owl, who happens to belong to Tyrande. She needs help, so she asked me, the champion, to meet up with Maya of Sadoshang and Chandra's Feathermoon over in Stormwind. We're going to have an audience with King Anduin and see if we can get some reinforcements to Darkshore and try to take that place back for the Alliance. Yeah! So off I go, back to Stormwind. I arrived just in time to see a pretty sad sight. Unfortunately, their request for help was denied. It's pretty unfortunate, but this is war after all. The details behind this unfortunate exchange appear to be placed into a cutscene, which we can't see yet. We talk to Velen, find out what's going on, and instead, we offer ourselves to the cause. And so, off I go. And then I remind myself, oh right, I'm not really an Alliance player. Is there a fast way to get all the way to Ashenvale? Well, the only thing I can think of was go to Stormwind Harbor, warp to Old Darnassus, and then fly south from there. I have no idea if this is going to be the actual flow, because at the moment, it's pretty busted. It's kind of weird, going back to Darnassus when it's still standing. Approaching Darkshore when it looks normal, and then when I enter Darkshore, the skybox suddenly changes and behind you is a crescent moon. I'm gonna spare some details, but my client crashed a lot on the way over to starting this scenario. We meet up with Mayav, Chandras, as well as Syrah, just off the coast of Darkshore to find Tyrande's busted ship. I know, ships busted in half don't really sit like that, but just use your imagination, okay? It doesn't help when Chandra says that Tyrande must have destroyed the ship so she would not be followed. Like, does that make any sense at all? At any rate, we're trying to find clues to Tyrande's whereabouts and what she's up to. We check out the area, bust up some Forsaken, and find a few curious things, including Tyrande's bow, a bridle, and a book referring to something called the Night Warrior. Ooh. When we take these items back, the ladies surmise that Tyrande must be alive, and they start a search in the form of a scenario, which I find weird. Like I said, this is the PTR, this is an early look. There are inconsistencies here, where the Alliance are having a scenario, but the Horde version of this questline was not a scenario type. So as Horde, we were able to fly. As Alliance, we cannot. At any rate though, the scenario starts with everyone meeting over at Alberdine, or the ruins of Alberdine. We take a look around, meanwhile busting up even more Forsaken in the area. We're looking for something called the Eye of Elune, which I don't know how I missed it, but I guess I missed whatever earlier reference there was to it. But we're also ambushed by Forsaken. After fighting our way through, we discover a number of comrades who were captured. We help them out and even find what appears to be Tyrande's mount. During our journey through, Maya of Shadowsong explains just what is the Night Warrior. It's supposed to be what's basically a power-up, as if you're an avatar of Elune herself. I imagine something like that would have been really useful during, the war against the Legion, Deathwing, the Lich King. I mean, yeah, war is terrible, they lost their home and everything, but this was the straw that broke the camel's back? Alright. At last, we find Tyrande in front of a moonwell, about to start this ritual. She implores her Mother Moon, I served you for millennia, but tonight I do not come as a maiden, mother, or even priestess. Now I will serve you only if you grant me justice. While she undergoes this ritual, the Horde attack. We fend them off, wave after wave. And with a little bit of a push from us, we see an awesome in-game event. It looks really cool, check it out. And Tyrande, well, looks, I don't know about reborn, but she definitely looks different. At first glance, apart from being physically larger and having cooler hair and a higher res model, she doesn't look all that much stronger than she did before. That glaive looks plenty strong though, so maybe I should shut up. The next few scenes are a little bit confusing, and more than likely bugs or just stuff that isn't fully implemented yet. But what we're doing here, unlike the Horde scenario, is taking a slightly bigger tour of the Darkshore warfront itself. Certain areas have been cleared out. Some places have been touched up. Large, obvious roads are now in place. Anyway, Tyrande approaches some goblin-themed base and just petrifies everyone, instantly, without so much of a blink. It's weird because she walks toward them, and then goblin shredders show up, but then she's walking away. And then out of nowhere, Malfurion Stormrage pops up in bear form. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Do I fight this Forsaken or what? But then he runs away. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And then Tyrande walks back. I wonder what she's doing. She's trying to walk through Belmont, fails to do so, and she keeps walking towards what appears to be that glaive. I guess she forgot it. And then she just rides off. Everyone there seems to stay alive, and that's the end of that story. Just over a bend and towards the shore, Tyrande arrives just in time to see Sira be delivered the final blow. And this is by Nathanos, by the way, so I guess that's canon. Much like the Horde scenario, Tyrande engages, only this time I'm with her. And we beat Nathanos down until he dominates both of our minds. Once again, out of nowhere, Tyrande escapes. Malfurion Stormrage pops up, uses Entangling Roots on Nathanos, and frees me. And then it's fight time again, blindly attacking whatever's in front of us until the encounter ends. And it all ends the same way. Sira, along with Dalaran Summermoon, are raised as Forsaken. They appear now to renounce the Kaldorei, and in a rage, Tyrande summons a moon to take out one of the Valkyr. The Horde retreats, and Maiev Shadowsong arrives. Maiev asks Tyrande what happened, and Tyrande doesn't really have words at the moment, and that pretty much wraps up the scenario. The other major Night Elf characters, including Malfurion, are hanging out on the boat, and you complete the lead up to the Darkshore Warfront, which will come later. There's no doubt that I'm going to revisit this particular scenario again because it is incredibly incomplete. Malfurion kind of shows up, but it's not quite sure if he's needed there. Whenever he is around, he barely talks too. And he's running around almost entirely in bear form. It almost makes it seem like he was hurt much worse than thought, to the point where he can't really talk or function, really. But I'm pretty sure that is not the case. But I will bring up Sira Moonwarden, the warden that accompanied us up until this point. At the beginning of this scenario, there's an exchange between Sira and Chandris. They're talking about their goddess, Elune, and Sira refers to her asking, well, Elune, was she watching over us as Teldrassil burned? Chandris quickly replies, we must not lose faith in the goddess. That is what the Horde wants. Maybe the Horde isn't exactly looking to do that at this very moment. However, Sira's faith in the goddess seems to have been wavering as of late. She lost her homeland, most of her people, locked in this bitter war with the Alliance, and at present, probably for very good reasons, King Anduin isn't able to lend aid. And upon Sira's death at the hands of Nathanos, her last words are, where is she? Referring to Tyrande. Now granted, there was no plan in place here. Sira wasn't exactly expecting Tyrande to just pop out at an opportune time, she was just kind of hoping that someone would show up. But this goes into those last moments of failure or despair or disappointment. It's those feelings, I believe, that the Valkyr use when raising Forsaken, especially in this case, that when they are raised, regardless of their prior affiliation, they're not going to have a very good outlook on life. In the Horde version of this scenario, Sira talks to the champion, saying that there's a reason that she accepts the Valkyr's gift. I'm very curious what that reason is, so I have a pretty good feeling that Sira and Dalaran are going to interact with someone from the Kaldorei, and then we'll find out what's going through their shadow-touched hearts. At least I suppose I'll call it that. Well, like I said, this is a pretty early look at this scenario with a bunch of incomplete stuff. So if there are significant updates in the near future, I'll revisit this video and let you know what has been added, and if need be, I'll give some additional or revised analysis of how I understand things here. But overall, I believe that the intention here is for Blizzard to try to sell the Darkshore Warfront, to justify just why is it that the Horde and Alliance are fighting for this place yet again. In this case, the way that I'm deciding to interpret it, it is simply the Night Elves trying to return home. At one point, their race ruled the world, and now they're almost in as dire of a position as the Sindori, the Blood Elves. So it's hard to tell what this could set the stage for, knowing that we're still pretty early in this expansion and there are numerous developments that could still go down. For all I know, in the near future, there could be some sort of Night Elf and High Elf alliance, and boom, that's how Alliance are going to get High Elves on their team. So that's all I've got for right now, but if you haven't already, check out the Horde version of these events, and let me know in a comment below, what do you think about everything that's going on here? Does it excite you? Are you pissed off that Nathanos is still alive? Are you also pissed off that this legendary Night Warrior couldn't take out 2 Valkyr and a, well, pretty powerful Forsaken guy? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so I can keep giving you more of this and all things Warcraft. So I'll see you folks in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.